Hello, this is Gerald Tuavas. Just like you can hear highs and lows, you can sense something which has a body or something which has a reflection. All these things can be heard, and it can be heard in letters as well. And that's why and how letters organize themselves around these ideas. And there's a real system behind it, which is a 3 times 3 times 3 focus that is chosen very quickly so that you hear what is it? Is it more the reflection? Is it more the body? Or is it more a centered sound? Is that kind of choices is done very quickly, and that's how also when we use letters and letter combinations, they combine these focuses which we are not very aware of, but actually when we analyze this, words that describe certain functions are also descriptions of focuses that describe these functions. And we already had one video about maximizing. Here is about, is the opposite. Less and minus should also be recognized in the letters. You see that system there, which is also a system of balance. So it starts from a focus that is actually associated with I want something, I start an interpretation, this is what I do, this is the go from A onwards, growing via L for instance, to a certain highlight in F for instance. It is going from the bottom up to the top, going forward and growing and growing and growing, or at least that kind of aspect that it thinks to achieve and to have a goal to. So less and minus are a bit contradictory to that growth process that we engage in, actually going towards the things and name the things. So, but there is also a very small part, and that is on the top of a dominating feedback, so that we are going towards something, but at the end of the process a few things will go back to us and will say like, okay, now you have to limit it. The last 3 letters or positions are about limiting. The first position is limiting itself with no specific letter that is associated with it, except for the emotional sound of huh, that relativating sound. And E and S are also diminishing actually what we're doing to something more concrete and limiting it, so that we are sure that we are doing the right thing, and we have to limit our focus a little bit. And these letters, probably the E and the S, will be also dominating in words like that. I can predict that already. There your limited choices, while H and R just underneath that, there you really make the best of it, so they are not used here. So yes, of course, if I look at the letters, you can already see there's not even a double S, a double minus feedback in that way, and the E and S are there as well. It's not that it's associated with a negative thing, but it's actually saying like, no, we minimalize ourselves to reality. So not your reality, but the reality, the general reality, the rules and so on, and the regulations. So it should not always be about something negative. No, it is that minimalizing feedback that comes back, and where it is dominating what comes back to you. And if it's about calculation, it's also then, of course, limiting our calculations so that we do not exaggerate, and that will, of course, be useful in our letter choices. So what I already did in the previous video is give an example of focuses, and that you can realize these focuses very well. There is the first category is about focus into one point. They are mostly about spaces, because there you have a spatial orientation mostly, so there you go to the points of orientation as quick as possible. The diagonals are the ones that are already leading us away from that center, and there we have a couple of realizations that are already interpreted in that video. You have the K, the B and the X here, which is that that choice, doubtful choice, away from the center, 3 times away from the center, but with dealing with 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points, in which that 1 point will always be the dominating essence. In K, the essence of the doubt. What shall I do? In the B, what shall I do? I will take the largest deviation there, or the X. Yeah, I'm sure that it is going away from my center point of vision. So that was already an example. And the next example of the next level was like, okay, but let's see where this is going to, where this leads to, where is it directing to. So the directions are followed also by these dominating points, but the points themselves are less important than the direction where it's going to, and how the things are changing in that way are also more into my perspective with the next 3 letters. That's what I already explained. And the last 3 in the diagonal, I explained that it was about adaptation, so that it is like the same positions are no longer so pointed into positions. They're also not very clear how they are directed, but you have a feedback at certain point that your directions cannot be followed the whole thing, that you cannot have an idea and follow it the whole time and do the same thing all the time. No, you have to deal with certain adaptations and changes. And G, R, and S are the last letters, which are exactly about adaptations. How we go to things, how things are and are running its course, or how things are really, at the end of the process, simply what they are, and we have to adapt to them all the time. There's not much that we can do about it. It's just what it is with the S. So basically, these 3 positions are about adaptations, where G is more focused upon how you still want to achieve something there, but you need to adapt this. You do not know where you're going to, how it is going to be. No, so you still have to adapt even there. The R itself is the progress and the movements itself from the whole system that is, and the S is indeed the everything which is not only what is systematic, but even which is not even going well. It's just what it is. It's just the feedback itself. It just tells you how big everything is, how well everything is, how bad everything is. It's all the same thing. But we're going to focus, so just a little bit of knowledge, of some theoretical knowledge that is good to know, but let's go and face and focus upon less. And less is the first word, and we have the L in there underneath, and we will compare it to E. Both of them are in the middle of these sorts of focuses. A focus in the space with L is associated with an increase in materialization. So you also have this uncertainty point and a certain point, so you know something is changing, is growing, it's changing, it's showing changes, it's appearing, and it is about that materialization process which gradually is forming itself. That is L. In this case, it seems to be about an increase, although we have less, it is increase, but it's simply actually also just saying we look into what is different, what is going to be, what is growing. So of course it's always about an increase in a way that we want to know what is going, how much is going, and so on. So that is the L. The E is the next letter, and it's also on the next level of seeing the same things about what is growing, what is changing, and so on. And it goes to the highlight also there. It goes to what exactly we have that is showing also a certain peak value, and we notice what we have exactly as for what it is and what direction it is going, with all of its features as well. So even with the lesser and the bigger parts, we focus still upon the bigger parts. So still until here, you're only focusing on values in a positive sense. But the double S is that special thing there that will make a change all the time. The S is then about the third category, the diagonal, so the deviations, things that are changing, that are limiting, so that are all increasing, that we almost no longer have in control. When we have that, it's at the borders, and we do not follow the point where it is. We do not follow its directions. No, we follow its behaviorisms. What is really going on there? Is really everything in that balance that we can go to that highlight, even when there's lesser things there as well that are lesser known? Can we do that, or do we have to adapt more? With one S is just almost like a question. We adapt, and we adapt to it, and actually not much more than that. But that double S, that makes it, because S is already a feedback. We have to deal with the feedback. With the double S, we are certain that we have to deal with the feedback, which again has a feedback. So it is actually no longer focusing in that way on the highlights, but on what does not make highlights. So we make a comparison to highlights. We want to highlight something, we want to break something out, but we have to deal with the lesser things as well. We have to deal with the full picture, what it is. And so the feedback makes a restraint towards the whole feedback process of the full picture of what we want to take out. And what we want to take out in that way will also focus more in the negative sense on the feedback, on what is less. The three top layers are also therefore always described as what comes forth from the negative thing that can be put in to that you can still do something with it, so that you can materialize it, or in the S, where you can still indeed also limit its limits in a way. So, and that's what will make it fit also to the real meaning of less, or how we associate less as a word. Let's also go to minus. So that should also be a comparison. Of course, if you see that, minus is so you go to, you cannot have minus without also a comparison. So lesser than something which is more than, of course, but you have to have a description that goes towards that comparison. So what do we have as a comparison? M and E is already a very good comparison, because M on its own is about everything which in a material sense is becoming more. Also there are a few minor aspects that we do not know, but we go with the M to what is becoming more. And that's our focus. In M, it's becoming more. E, on the other hand, because it deals with also that negative, it deals also with these elements. You have here three elements of what does not actually comes out well yet. So it's also again the total package, and we're going to deal with that total package. How we're going to do that is not clear until so far, but you already see what is going on. So M with E, you will see that it will deal with these minor parts. When I go back inward, I deal again with these variations within M, within that body of M. And of course, that feedback process, which is E, and that's also why E is like, I have a new idea, because I also know something is wrong and what is wrong. So I adapt to what is working well, and I will make a change so that I can work with everything which is there into a new reality, that I can work with it. So it adapts in that feedback process, not only to what is increasing already on its own, but also while dealing with all these minor ponds that does not work. So in between that, because you have here three levels, you have the M, the F and the E on these three levels of orientation into 1, 2 or 3 focuses. The F in between and the E on top and the M underneath can be compared as the same kind of focuses, but the M into one focus expressing actually from my center point of view what I want to increase and so on. The second degree is like, oh no, it's dealing with where is it really going. So in that way it says, so what can you do with it? Not just what you want to do, but what can you do with it? And it makes a choice. Is that choice of, okay, let's figure out where we can make a choice, where we can do it. Not just only where I want to do it, I also can do it. And then with the feedback to it, so it's even focusing more onto that same spot, it deals with the full picture, and it actually says something more like, okay, but what do we have to do? What must be done? And that's what the E will be focusing upon that same spot, actually in a different way. And then how can we compare this as well? Let's compare it with the materialization process. So in M, it's maximizing it with vibrations. It's maximizing its form. That's the sense that you get. With the M, it's like these vibrations. Now you see them in a time schedule, so not into one focus, but in two focus in a time schedule. So you see these vibrations going up and down, and you choose an option where it's going up, actually, so that where you can do something with it, where you can lift something out. That is, lift something out. That's where you can see the F. The E, on the other hand, deals with its full signature of going up and down. So it also does not make your choices, but it deals with its full nature of behaviorism, and in that way it will deals with the ups and downs and define also where it has to deal with this inwardly move as well. So that's what the me is doing. The me will focus upon the full picture, the contextual picture, that it deals with the inner movements, and the outer movements in F or in M will be dealt with at the same time. The ness at the end will actually describe it even more as not just that point in N that says, okay, we have a value that we can physically take out. It deals with two aspects to it. The U is what is developing slowly, so that's going up again and down again, all what is developing and changing. So it is not up or not down, it's in between. And the S is that feedback that actually says, let's deal with where it doesn't work, where it is working, where it is not working, the full picture. And so by dealing with those steps back, not only steps up, we actually figuring out the disadvantages as well, not only the advantages for us, but also the disadvantages. And that's our main focus of the continuation of letters, with M the maximum, E the becoming a minimum. It is focusing on how this minimum works and how this minimum is dealt with. That's more or less description of minus. Okay, I hope you enjoyed, and that it brought you also closer to these words. Thanks again for watching. This video will be hidden because the other one is better to watch for the volume 1 part of this one, all of the positive things. It's a bit more clear than this one, so I will leave this one as a link to into that first video, to have an additional video for those who would like to see it and would like to compare all these words into the positive or negative sense. Thanks again for watching. Bye.